Good evening and welcome to the July 14th, 2021 East Whiteland Township Board of Supervisors meeting. At this time, I will call to order our first hybrid meeting. I'm Scott Lambert, and I'm joined by Vice Chair Rich Orlow, Supervisor Sue Drummond, John Nagel, Township Manager, and Township staff, and Solicitor Joe McGrory. This hybrid meeting is being recorded, and residents will have the opportunity to comment after each agenda item after our discussion by the board. And any non-agenda items that the residents will discuss will occur during the public comment section under 8. At that time, you can identify yourself, and Donna Weichert will assist you. We will begin the meeting with a group reading of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will begin underneath the board briefing. We had executive sessions that were held today at 5 o'clock for legal, personnel, and real estate issues. Notice to the public for information, we're going to have an action meeting to be held on Monday, August 23rd at 9 a.m. pertaining to zoning discussions. It'll contain topics of the Route 30 corridor plan, residential usage along Lancaster Avenue. We're going to be proactive and have discussions pertaining to warehouse distribution and industrial district amendments with uses, parking, and outdoor storage. Next, item 2C. Chris Yeager, if you can tell us about the reestablishment of the bike patrol.
Test. I'll just sit down for now so I can get to this. So we used to have a bike patrol years ago, obviously. It was originally part of the plan for community policing when we get back into the accreditation process and so forth, but with the pandemic, all of that was put on hold. And ultimately, now that we're coming out of that, we have resurrected the bike patrol. We still have a bike that was worthy of being repaired. We added some things to it. We expect it to be available this weekend with a rider. It won't be Rich Orlow. I can pretty much, he's welcome to ride beside it, but the nice part about the bicycle too now, as opposed to when we had it 10 and 15 years ago, was the developments are a lot easier to get to now that we have the trail here. So the bike, it's not as dangerous for a bicycle or an officer on a bike. Believe it or not, we have originally one officer came to me, and then since that time we've had at least 4 more who came and said they're interested in doing a bike. So we do have another bike that's even older, but so if we need it, we will break that out too. But we hope that's going to be a good addition to the community policing. It'll be here for the summer, and people will see it. The bigger developments like Atwater and things of that nature, it's going to be very conducive to close in-person visits and so forth. So we're happy to have that as part of the new fleet.
I was going to say, we're going to get bicycle requests in addition to car requests now, right?
You might. They don't burn as much gas.
Next up, Lauren, if you can lead us on the declaration of disaster emergency termination, I guess?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. This is more of just an advisement to the board. When we adopted our broken already. All right, is that better? There we go. Okay, starting over. Basically, just an advisement to the board. When we did our original disaster declaration in March of last year, we subsequently included language that it would remain in place until the Commonwealth Emergency Declaration is lifted, as applicable to Chester County, was the language that we included. The state ended their declaration as of June 19th, and the county actually ended theirs as of June 10th. So basically, I just wanted to advise everyone that subsequently our disaster declaration would have ended at that time as well, for everyone to be aware of.
Lauren, will the residents see any changes within the community based
No.
on this change?
No, not at all. Okay, thank you, everyone.
John Nagel, if you can kind of give us an overview of what the residents might see with the reopening of the building and guidelines. Can't hear you.
That's the one, the second one.
Rusty here.
That's it.
All right, is that better?
Just keeps close.
Okay. This information has also been posted to the website recently. Just have a short announcement. East Whiteland Township this goes to all the residents, volunteers, employees, and visitors. East Whiteland Township celebrated a soft reopening of our township facilities on July 1st. For over 1 year, our employees have been working mostly from our township building and continue to work from home 1 day each week. For health and security reasons, we continue to screen those who request entry into our facilities. Starting with our tonight's meeting, we will begin allowing the public to attend our meetings in person. If you attend and are fully vaccinated, you do not need to wear a mask. If you attend and are not vaccinated, we ask you to wear a mask. During these meetings, for those who are not yet comfortable to attend in person, we will also continue to stream through our website using a Zoom platform until further notice. Our volunteer boards and commissions will also be permitting in-person attendance. However, we will not be streaming those meetings going forward. While this has been an historic and challenging year, we are looking forward to having our business conducted in a traditional manner again. We have learned much from adapting during the pandemic and will continue to provide appropriate measures to provide public service in the best possible way. Thank you for your patience and understanding. That's it.
Okay, thanks, John. Any questions? Okay. And John, if you can give us an overview of the training session that we're putting on?
Sure. This is just a reminder. We were able to get a number of volunteers that serve on our boards and commissions, and the training is scheduled for next Tuesday between 6 and 9 p.m. It's a virtual training session. I'll actually be doing the introductions, brief introductions, and then it's basically the folks from the Anti-Defamation League as well as our volunteers going through some training. The civilian staff has already gone through the training. It's very good. It's all about inclusion and diversity. It was well received, and we're also, later on in this meeting, we'll be looking at having the board approve 3 sessions for the police department. So that's the update on the anti-bias virtual training.
Okay, great, thank you. Next, we'll move to the architectural side of the meeting, and we will have an update on the police station exterior design. I guess John Neild is going to be part of that as well, and Bob, I don't know if you're going to be. Or let Paul handle everything.
Come on, Bob. Well, thank you for having us. Paul Scroy, Bernardin, architecture firm working on the campus master plan, which includes one of the projects that includes is the police station building. The last time we met, we were presenting as a design team the entire campus master plan. Purpose of tonight's brief is to just give you an update on the design of the police station itself. The display on the screen is representing the footprint of the police station. So that footprint is in green. And to the upper right of the green building footprint is the existing East Whiteland Township Fire Company, with the administration building being cut off just to the left of the screen. As we had noted when we were presenting the campus master plan, there is a public access and parking coming off of the existing driveway, and a separate secure driveway that provides access for police personnel and access to the sally port. The footprint that you see is essentially a two-story building. The lower level of this building includes tuck-under parking. So that is protected and secured parking that can be accessed from that north drive. So you take that secure drive and then you enter into the building on the north side. I don't know if there's a pointer that I could point to the screen with. Okay. So the secure drive for the police would be gated at both ends, both at Mill and at the driveway, and there are 21 spaces along that driveway that are not covered, and then another 21 spaces that are underneath the building in the area that is also being used as a sally port secure vestibule to bring those in custody up to the main floor. The extension of the building off to the southeast in this plan represents the indoor firing range that is really serving as a retaining wall as well. So it's a very functional component of the design and of the site design. We're very pleased with how that's helping us site in a responsible manner. Going to the next slide, we have a floor plan of the upper level. So this would be the main business level. We went maybe one bar. Yeah, there we go. So this is the upper level. This represents the colors represent different areas of the building that go from less secure, that would be the green area, that would be the public entrance, to more secure, which would be the detention and holding area, which is the deeper red off to the right-hand side. The yellow and pink just represent different areas of the building that are secure, that is to say that they are not accessed directly by the public without being escorted to those spaces. Go to the next slide. This slide represents the lower level. As I mentioned, there's tuck-under parking, so there are 21 protected parking spaces under the building. The deeper red represents the area of the sally port that provides access to an elevator as well as stair tower that takes us up into the controlled area at the upper level where we have the holding cells. And as I said before, the firing range is located The indoor firing range, I want to be clear about that, is located on the bottom right, and it's, yes, thank you, it's represented. So the plan is working quite well with respect to the site, and is really helping us to address really the public. You know, how is this building being expressed to those coming to the campus? And, you know, what do we want to say in terms of the architecture? So some of the driving forces behind the design essentially are protection or safety of the community, safety of the township personnel, safety and privacy of those who are in custody. And the other driving principle for the design is uniformity and a building language on the campus that really begins to tie all these various buildings on the campus together. So what we've done is we've identified materials that have been used on the fire company as well as the public works. Those materials being standing seam metal roof, concrete block, the EFIS, which is an exterior insulation finish system, and accent metal panels, and of course glass and aluminum storefront. Those materials, that's the palette that we're using for the design, and I'd like to advance to the next slide, which will represent what we're proposing as the look of the police station from the entrance off of Conestoga Road. You'll see that many, and we'll zoom in here a little bit more, but you can see that this is the police station with the context of the fire station here. The trees that are at the entrance have been removed in this view. That is not our intention to remove. We did want to communicate what the building would look like from the drive.
Is it really that much bigger than the fire station?
It is a big footprint, but it's not bigger. It's the fact that this is in the foreground of the perspective, so it's giving the appearance of being rather, large relative to the.
It looks like twice the size of the fire company.
No, I don't think it's twice the size, no. So the footprint here is 13,000 square feet, 13,500. And and so that's 13,275 on the upper level, with 15,725 on the lower level because it's got the indoor firing range that extends to the back.
What's the height?
The height of the building, I don't have that offhand, but we're probably 14 feet to the eave at the public entrance, and then we've got the gable that's creating the volume there. So 14 feet plus another 12 feet in the area where we have the tuck under parking would take us from grade to the eave, and we're using a sloped roof to help conceal mechanical equipment and other photovoltaic solar panels, if you will, on the upper roof. So you can see the sloped metal roof, again, drawing a lot of the building language from both the fire company and the Public Works building. And if we go to the next slide, it'll zoom into the main entrance feature. So this would be the main public entrance under this wood trellis-like canopy that extends out to the parking lot. The parking lot provides both stair and ramp access to this public entrance, and there is a receiving or administrative component in the area that is represented by the red metal panels. So that's right off of the public lobby. So you'll see the combination of the stone, the drive-it system, which is the stucco-like material, metal roof system, and more of the concrete block that was used on the Public Works building is incorporated on the wall that faces Conestoga Road. The lower level where we have tuck under parking would be controlled and secured with fence-like material to prevent the public from entering that. And then the next image is an image from the top of the retaining wall where essentially our back is to the fire company in this view. So you're looking back up at the police station with the expression, if you recall in the plan, there was a slight angle to it so that a majority of the building addresses Conestoga Road, and the area that's more secure begins to sort of become more concealed, if you will, from Conestoga Road.
Paul, can you refresh me? Is the facade of this building and the fire station, are they identical in terms of the materials and the colors, or is it a similar?
The materials, well, it's certainly not identical. So it's bars. So we have Public Works building uses the red panels and incorporates a little bit of the red roof, which this begins to pick up on the red that you have at the Public Works building for these accent pieces and for some of the storefront material. And then the metal that you see on the roof here is more complementing the fire station. The stone, there's a mix. You know, this is a rendering at this point. We'll begin to identify, you know, which stone is more appropriate. There's a stone at the fire company and stone at the Public Works. The concrete block that we would use would match the Public Works building. But the language, collectively, the language of all the buildings will be rather harmonious.
So you're counting on the shrubs to cover the garage, correct?
I think that there will be a number of site amenities that will help provide privacy there, including potentially a fence along that edge.
Because this is the view from 401, correct?
It's a view from 401 that this view is taken elevated in, it's as if I was on the ladder truck in the parking lot of the fire company and they
Well, I
just take it
realize
up.
that it's above 401, but that's the
It
face
is-
of
yes,
towards
that's correct.
401.
It does. It faces 401.
Did you give any consideration to solar panels, and how are we heating this? What did we do for the environment on this building?
Yeah, so the mechanical systems are going to be designed as we advance the project. We have talked about the solar panels on the roof, and this doesn't show it. The roof plan would clearly show it, but there's a great amount of low slope roof. Many call it a flat roof. So that would accommodate a great number of solar arrays and also mechanical systems. Now, for the mechanical systems that would be up there, we wanted to have something along 401 that would help screen those from view. So that's why you would see this sloped roof along the edge of the building in this particular view. That is not a full sloped roof. So it's going up and it's coming straight back down to provide that visual shield. But you're going to essentially have, I would say, probably 11,000 square feet of that footprint, of that 13,200 square foot footprint would be a low slope that could accommodate solar array panels.
Are we looking at gas heat, or what are we looking at for heat?
Yeah, it would be a gas-fired system. There will probably be an evaluation of whether geothermal makes sense, but that would really need to be evaluated. There are often times where that doesn't make sense for the purpose of the building.
I'm just wondering, we're going to renovate this building as well. If there's anything we could do for a geothermal that could serve both buildings in the long run, that might be something to look at.
That would be something to look at. That's all I have.
Well, it's nice to see it. Chief, you've been involved in this? You're happy with the way it's going?
Yeah, I think it looks good so far, and it's come along a little bit at a time, so we were able to look at the bottom and then the internal, and we've been working together on how the internal floors and rooms will be. So each time it gets a little bit more in-depth, so it's not an overload. We're getting enough to help us understand it. So I can pretty much look at this now and know exactly where we are and what we're doing. And
Good. Thank you. It's
We're
the first
excited.
time we've seen it, so I'm happy to see a picture of it.
Well, we're happy to present it. Thank you.
Will these be left here at the township for us to be able to look at again?
Yes, they are here at the township.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Donna, any comments from the public? Okay.
Scott, I received a comment that, just a reminder for the board to turn their mics on when you speak.
Okay. And moving on, I've got John Neal to talk about our Route 2930 Triangle Beautification
Okay.
Project
Yep.
update. I know we started making phone calls to PennDOT about a year ago. How are we making out so far?
Yeah, it's one of those things that's a long process. We've gone through a couple different options. We've narrowed it down to around 2, but with some potential modifications, and we've had Arrow work up a potential cost. Now, we had them do it worst case because we don't know what's underneath that concrete. So to take out all that concrete, they said, we don't know what's there. Let's say we have to go 30 inches to get topsoil back in there, plants, and get the whole thing back at a grade that it is now, but with no concrete. That came in at approximately $80,000. That's all just ornamental grasses. It has a 5-foot border around the outside, which could be turf grass, it could be mulch, it could be decorative stone. The other option was the same thing, but with a paver border around it that would be 5 feet. That took it up to close to $140,000 with the paver cost, just really takes that to a higher level. We also had Arrow submit what it would take for the HOP permit with PennDOT, the whole plans, prepare the manual, put it out to bid. Their cost is approximately $15,000. So all in on the first option, we think we'd be about $95,000 worst case. If you wanted to go with the pavers, then you're looking at the 40, so around $155,000. Now, we can do some changes in there, and we really don't think we're going to be taking out 30 inches of material and adding 30 inches of topsoil. So we expect when it would go out to bid, it would be less than that. And the plants were all given to us by Land Concepts for things that would be able to hold up with the traffic and the environment out there, low water, very minimal maintenance, once a year cut down at the end of the season. And, you know, it's a tough spot because with traffic and everything else that happens out there and the pollution from the cars, not too much is really going to want to grow. So,
Once we make a final determination which way to go, what time frame are we looking at?
well, the first thing would be get the
Permit?
HOP permit submitted and make sure PennDOT's okay with it. Now, we've been talking with them. And as long as we don't put some type of structure out there in their clear zone, they're going to pretty much approve what the grasses are fine with them because cars can go right through with no injury damage. So that should move along pretty quick. It's a pretty basic job, so we can have these plans together in about a month or so.
Okay.
And then I'd have to ask Darryl what he thinks on getting it all together, make sure everything is set to get it out to bid, but it's within the next couple months.
Do they have to be watered regularly?
No, that's what we were trying to not do. The ornamentals, if you got them in there and they got established, in the beginning, obviously, we would try and get some water on them as long, if we weren't getting any rain, but they're able to just take care of themselves out there. Turf grass, we would have to have water, either put a system in or have some way to water out there, which we really weren't interested in cutting the grass every week out there, so.
Are you really taking out all the concrete? What about the curbs and all that?
No, the curb stays.
So you just cut within the curb?
Yeah, all that flat area, so the curb would stay and we would go right up to the edge of the curb.
Isn't there a traffic light base in there?
There's a traffic signal, there's an electric manhole, there's a gas manhole, there's a couple little utilities in there that can be incorporated in there.
So you know
There's
what's in
also
there.
the
Okay.
option where we could leave a border of the existing concrete. It wouldn't look that great because it's old concrete, a lot of it's cracked, but if we wanted to leave that as our border, that's also an option, so.
I have seen one very much like this at 320 and 30 down in Radnor,
Yep.
which looks fine. The grasses look fine. I don't like the red stone they've put around it. I think that's really ugly. But I certainly wouldn't have turf grass that you have to mow.
No.
I'm
right, that's
also a
why-
little stunned to pay $100,000 to plant some bushes. That just kind of
Yeah.
blows my mind.
Yeah, we don't want to have weekly or 10-day maintenance out there. We look at seasonal is what we would prefer, so.
I do like the grasses and the pavers.
Yeah,
I think pavers go to $150,000 for this? Are you kidding me?
And that's a 5-foot border.
You can put stone that isn't that red stone, and it would be more attractive. I mean, just gray gravel, big, or river rock or something.
River rock, right. There's a lot of different options
But,
with the stone.
$150,000 just stunning.
Well, I guess your point is, yeah, you're looking at another $60,000 or $60,000 to $70,000 for the pavers.
Right.
I suppose we could come up with something less expensive.
It's a big area.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a
It
big
is.
triangle.
And we're still going to try to sort of coordinate colors to some degree with the monument, billboard monument.
The pavers would have been something that would have really tied in with that. Decorative stone, there's a variety of different colors and types that you can get that would tie into that same thing, so.
Yeah. I think something to match that would make sense rather than just a hodgepodge of different colors down in there. Try to make it uniform.
Right.
All right, why don't we see if we can maybe come up with a less expensive border, stone border.
Yeah, and we can talk to PennDOT too, if they allow us, we could go out there and maybe dig a test hole to get a better idea of what's underneath that concrete, which could really get us closer to the cost.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So.
Okay. Any other questions?
No,
Public?
no
Okay.
questions.
All right, John, thanks.
Oh, hold on. There is a question. There is a question now. Barbara Ann Thav, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Barbara Ann Thav, Broadleaf Trail. John, thank you for that.
Just a second,
Could you-
just a second. Is there a way to make, we can't hear her. Okay, try it again.
Thank you, Donna. Barbara Ann Thav, Broadleaf Trail. John, thank you for going over that. Could you remind the public about what was approved a couple of board meetings ago regarding this? Wasn't there something already that was approved that had a cost associated to it? I don't remember what that is. Could you remind us? Thanks.
I think this is the first cost we've had associated with this island.
I don't think we voted on anything. I think it was for informational direction that you had given us on preliminary plans, if I recall. Zach?
It may have been a proposal from Land Concepts to draw up some initial design ideas. That may be
That's
what
what
it
it
was.
was.
Would have been just a few $1,000s at the most. I don't remember
Yeah.
the dollar amount off the top of my head.
You're right.
I-
That's what it was.
I think you might be right. I remember Sue saying, please don't spend a lot of money. And I just think it's important to understand like the holistic cost of that project because I would think 155,000 seems like an awful lot, although it would be very nice to have some beautification there. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara Ann. Okay. Moving on to 2I. Steve Brown, if you can give us an update. We wanted to keep everyone in the loop as far as what was going on with the remediation action plan for Bishop 2. So if you could give us an overview of where we are and what's going on at this point.
Sure, I'd be glad to. At the beginning of the month, we received an email from the DEP, gentleman named Rob Fogel. He's the local government liaison for the Southeast Regional Office. It was in response to an inquiry that came from me asking when we might receive the proposed remedial action plan. And the gist of the response was that while they can't guarantee when, and it does require the approval of the deputy secretary within DEP, they anticipate that the plan, as they call it, the analysis of alternatives and proposed response, would be released in late summer, and then the public comment period would commence. So, I don't know if that means the end of August or mid-September, but we're being told late summer. They also advise that this has to be published in a local newspaper as well as the PA Bulletin, and it takes a 2-week lead time to publish in the PA Bulletin. So when they are ready to publish it, we'll get that they'll advise us, and we'll get a 2-week notice. We have already been preparing. I've been working with Steve Hahn in Joe's office, and I've been working with our consultants, BSTI. Fortunately, since they've assisted us with the Bishop 2 subdivision and land development plan, they've already reviewed a lot of the background documents, so they really do have a pretty good head start into the review. And that's important because once the public comment period commences, it's only a 90-day period. So there'll be a lot that happens within that 90 days. DEP will be holding a public meeting. They have requested in that same email that we provide any suggestions to them as to where we think would be a good venue for that meeting. We will also hold at least one public meeting, possibly 2. That's something for the board to consider and advise on. And that's really it.
To your knowledge, is the comment period ever extended by DEP if the public asks? An idea?
Yeah, Rich, I don't know. I do know that when the application for the grant was written, when I prepared that, the folks in DEP had very little experience with that grant or this process, so I don't know. I suspect if there was some circumstance that justified the extension and that they're legally able to do so, probably would grant it. But I think it's best that we prepare to move quickly within that 90 days.
So I envision the one public meeting by DEP laying the groundwork for this. And then at least one second meeting for the public then to come back and comment on. And it's just a question as to whether or not there would be a need for a second. Steve, would we need to determine up front whether we were going to have 2 additional public meetings, or can we just advertise it on a as-need basis, depending on the reaction of the public and the questions that are asked?
Scott, That's a
to
good
Joe?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think we could decide at the last minute if we want to hold a public meeting. Let's say we hold our public meeting, I'm making it up, at the 50th day, and we decide at the 70th day we want to have another public meeting. I think we're free to do that. I do think ideally going into the process, we should announce what our intentions are, at least as best we could, understand them at that time. But again, it's probably going to be a pretty fluid process, and we may want to, adjust as we work our way through it. The ultimate goal of the whole process is for us to understand the plan, help communicate that plan to the public, receive the public's comments, and then for us to provide written comments regarding the plan to the DEP.
It's not just the township that can submit comments to DEP. Any member of the public that submits comments to us, I guess, can also submit it to DEP, right? We don't have to be the conduit to DEP, do we?
That's also a good question, Rich. I don't think so. I think, again, it's a public comment period, so I think, individuals and property owners are free to submit comments to the DEP. Right, so we don't necessarily have to incorporate their comments into whatever document we produce at the end.
Any comments from the audience?
Thank you. Deb Mobile, is that on? 42 Village Way. I do have a couple of questions, comments about the timing and scheduling of the meetings. One, I do think a larger venue such as the high school or the middle school is great, but please, not the music room in the middle school. We had overflow people that were sitting in the hallway and didn't hear what was going on the last time, and that was before people knew what was going on. Now that people know what is going on, hopefully there will be even more input from the public. I would ask that the meetings be as early in the process as possible, because I do believe in doing our research, and I do believe in listening to all the sides. And having the meetings at the last minute does not let people go and look for additional information or follow-up answers to their questions before they submit their comments to the DEP. So having both the DEP meeting early on and a meeting with the township early on, particularly to allow for that second meeting, to allow for that follow-up, I think is extremely important. And I appreciate you updating us, the public, on this at this time. This has been a long time coming. I do have one other question, area of concern about the Bishop Tube situation, if that's all right at this time. I know that on July 1st, the DEP was to have received a plan from Constitution Drive Partners concerning the security matters at Bishop Tube, or the lack thereof. Do we know if that plan has been received? Do we know anything about that? Okay. Well, I would like to, one, make sure the plan has been received, and two, have a copy of that plan and possibly even give that to our wonderful police department to review. These are security issues. And I do not expect the police to be providing private security for Bishop Tube, but they do have expertise in that area. And it was something that was mandated, and it's an issue of safety. And we need to make sure that if we can't follow through with simple requests like this, how are we going to follow through with safety in any kind of processes going forward? Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
Hi, Kathleen Stauffer, 64 Fawnstock Road. when you talked about the conduit, you guys being the conduit, and I totally understand that maybe that's not appropriate, but I just want to make sure that we're all in the loop, so, sorry, Deb. Although you guys might not be the conduit to see what's happening there, to make sure that we're all in the same loop. So I understand your point, but at the same time, at this point too, the DEP has fallen flat on their face about 4 decades that this place has been toxic. So I ask that of you as our supervisors to be well aware of. I know you are too. The other thing that I want to, Deb's concern about the fence being broken, we often go on the right-of-way where the sewer is. We walk our dogs back there. The fence is still broken. It was tied with tie wraps, and there's a new sign that says no trespassing. As a parent of a young teenager who used to go onto the Bishop Tube site before I knew it was toxic to hang out with his buddies, who were arrested by Brian O'Neill and his company, and did community outreach as their penance, that land, it is intriguing to children. It's intriguing. It is mystical. It has this magic temptation to it. But the fence is down again, and there's a new sign, no trespassing, which invites them to go into trespass.
There was a letter written by MLP Ventures to DEP dated June 24th saying we've secured the site, fixed all the down fencing, and added additional no trespassing signs.
Well, if they did, it was with tie wraps. I
don't
know, and I hear what they're saying, but any kid who wants to go in there is going to go in there.
Yeah. I don't necessarily consider this a security
No,
plan
I
either. A
don't
2-paragraph
think so.
letter is a bunch of,
No.
yes.
And I mean, as a 15-year-old, I might have gone in there too.
Right. Sure.
So that's one of my major concerns about that site. Thank you. Thanks for all you guys do too. Your hair looks great.
Can I just make a quick comment on the, before you?
As a child advocate, they were ordered to secure the site. It doesn't matter whether the kids are wrong or the kids get arrested or the kids get to do community service because kids are kids. There are also homeless people in the area that could be living on that site, and I know that was an area of concern as well. Like, who is on that site and what are they doing there? The problem is that, once again, the builder with the most amount of money that doesn't even live in this township has taken the orders from the state, and oh, yeah, put up a sign, put some tie racks, we took care of it. We are not stupid, and we are not going to stand for this anymore. If they can't be asked to do a simple request like this, how can you allow them to dig that dirt up and let those pollutants flow into my neighborhood and my house? Thank you. I'm sorry.
Did you want to say something, Chris? Maybe Chris has something that'll and show.
Just briefly, we have been in contact with some of the people that you're talking about in general when they call. We do go down there, we do patrol what we can. I appreciate you recognizing that we can't do private security, but we do what we can, and we do extra patrols, so we are showing up in that area. We have made some contacts, and we've cleared some people out in several different respects. So from that perspective, we are doing something, and they are calling us when they find things. So the problem with the fence, I can't help you with that. exactly, but we're doing something and they are notifying us at this point.
Hi, Jeanette Hooven, 61 Fawnstock Road. I just wanted to say in regards to the whole fence thing, I was coming home about 3 weeks ago, and it's summertime, the kids are all out, but there was a group of at least 8 teens that were like 16, 17 years old, and they were all walking from the Bishop Tube site across the back properties and right up the road in front of my house. So I do know they're getting in there, and I just wanted to let you guys know that that is happening, especially now with the summer being here. So, thank you.
Thank you. Don, any public comments? Okay.
Just because I honor what you are doing, and that is that. And I think our frustration is that this toxic site is still there, hanging there as a big sore thumb in this township. I so appreciate all that you do. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
I guess, Zach, if we could maybe, Steve, we could put our heads together and see if we can reach out to Constitution Partners and give them an update from what we've heard here tonight and ask them to revisit the security issue.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll also reach out to the DEP to see if the June 24th letter was acceptable, and if not, assuming it's not, did they receive what they should have on the 1st of July, and if so, can we get a copy?
Okay, sounds good. Kathleen, can you folks, before you leave here, would you or email me your email? So if any of this communication comes down, I'd like to reach out and share it with you. Okay? And I have Deb's, but I don't have yours. Okay? I appreciate it. Moving on to board and motions and resolutions. I guess John and Zach, if you can give us an update on the promotion.
Sure, most of this Zach's going to cover, but we hired a planning coordinator here, I guess about a couple of years ago, Brittany Carasello, and she's really taken the planning function from a coordinator level and done a great job. And so at this point, we're looking to give her more responsibility as we are a growing community. And so the board has had discussions. We had them in executive session tonight and agreed to move forward with the consideration of a promotion tonight. So I would ask Zach to give more details on Brittany.
Did you take my notes when I wasn't looking? No, thanks, John. So Brittany came on board in February of 2019 as our planning and development coordinator, having served in a similar role in another municipality. And as John said, since that time, she's become more and more involved in the planning process and taken on a number of additional projects, not all of which were simple, and some of which were very in-depth and really test her research skills. So kudos to her on that. Brittany has consistently exceeded our expectations, proven to be a very capable and valuable member of the planning and zoning team. And I would agree with John that this promotion is very, very much deserved for all our efforts over the last 2.5 years or so. So as deputy director, she'll also be responsible for heading up some of our internal and external process improvements, our zoning ordinance analysis, some of the grants administration, and much, much more. So I guess with that, I'll conclude and maybe just sort of wrap it up with a congratulations. If Brittany, are you on the call?
I am here, thank you.
I appreciate the my effort and hard work being recognized, and I look forward to continuing to work for the township in my new position. So thank you very much.
Okay. Well, to make it official, I'll entertain a motion to,
I'll make a
From Sue?
motion to promote Brittany Carasello to Deputy Director of Planning and Development.
do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, you're official.
Very good.
Thank you.
Moving on to some exciting stuff from Chris Yeager pertaining to vehicles and our police fleet. Since we're getting a new bicycle, I'm assuming we can probably eliminate one of these cars, right?
We did right before this piece of.
Yeah, right, Chris, right. Good answer.
What exactly do you want to hear? That's the good news.
I guess there's really nothing too major to really discuss here, is there? So we'll just proceed with a motion. Rich?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the increase of the police fleet from 18 to 20 vehicles and take the steps outlined in 3B 1 through 6.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And John, we've got bid for a Ford Escape.
Yes, Scott, on the civilian side, we also have vehicles that are approaching their end of the useful life. So, as I think been mentioned many times at these public meetings, there's a organization called Municipid which allows for a competitive bidding process when we put vehicles out for sale. We have a 2012 Ford Escape that's recommended for sale. We actually replaced the vehicle earlier this year. This is a vehicle that Steve Brown drives. So we'll go through a process where we'll price this. I believe there's not, in addition to the blue book, there's also a black book, from what I understand, if I'm talking legal terms here, and we'll basically try to get the best prices we can through the municipal process.
So I understand you're putting this one up for sale. The 2012 is going for sale. That's what you're asking us to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Sue, you want to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to authorize bidding for the 2012 Ford Escape through Municipid.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. So Chris, we're looking for 6 additional tasers.
Yes. 6 tasers. The tasers are such that the software runs out and the batteries run out. So we just replace them on an ongoing basis. And they keep coming out with a new and better model anyway. So we're trying to get to the point where every officer can have their own taser. And it keeps them in better shape, and you don't have to worry about who broke one or who didn't break one or where is one. So from that perspective, for $15,000, it's probably a good investment to have everyone have one.
Okay. Rich, can you make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to ratify the purchase of 6 tasers for $15,000.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 6 tasers to the man in white.
Thank you.
We have no motion to award, no public hearings, so we'll move on to some boring topics called planning and development.
I'll do my best to spice things up here. Both of these applications were discussed at last month's meeting, so I can fast forward if you'd like. Since the last meeting, since the board authorized staff and the solicitor to draft a resolution, we've gone ahead and done so. There's some general conditions and also some project-specific conditions for each of these. The first one here is 333 Technology Drive. It's a small parking expansion, associated stormwater management. It's a preliminary/final application. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I believe the applicant's engineer is also on hand.
We've gone over this
Yeah, this is
multiple
another one.
times,
Right.
so no questions.
Okay. So, Sue, would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve LD 18-2020 for parking expansion at 333 Technology Drive.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. You're welcome. All right, Zach, 40 Liberty?
Sure. The second one here, 40 Liberty Drive, 40 Liberty Boulevard, similar project, a small parking expansion, along with a small outdoor seating area, some landscaping improvements, and a multi-use trail along Sweetsford Road. Again, we've since the last meeting, we've drafted an approval resolution with some specific conditions related to the trail and an associated easement for the portions of the trail outside the right-of-way. Aside from that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I believe the applicant's attorney is on the call if you have any questions for her.
I have none.
Yep, I see that. I read Daryl's report, so I am good to go, and we've seen this before. Rich, would you like to make make another motion here?
Sure. Make a motion to approve LD 3-2021 for a parking expansion at 40 Liberty Boulevard, preliminary/final land development.
Have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Don, any public comments coming in that I failed to ask on the last two? No. Okay. We are really out of the planning and development side at this point in time. There are no other activities.
Scott, if I could just add one thing, sorry to interrupt. Under 6E, we generally have motions to authorize advertising for hearings. I just wanted to let the board and everyone else know that we will have a handful of ordinance amendments on for the August 11th board meeting. Those are the RMH map amendment and text amendment, and a zoning text amendment related to visitor parking for attached dwellings. So those have all been advertised and put through the process. They'll be discussed at the Planning Commission meeting later this month.
Okay. So it looks like August will be kind of jammed up with a lot of activity. Okay. Ted, if you can bring us up to date on property management issues and updates. I've seen a few things come across that are positive.
Certainly, thank you. I was just thinking about the tasers, and if code enforcement could get a taser, I could really get some things done quickly. Anyway.
Chris, can we make him a deputy officer? Give him a taser and a bike and a car?
So anyway, yes, some good news. 53 Village has an agreement of sale on it, which has been an ongoing issue for quite a few years here, I think. And supposedly settlement is going to be coming up sometime in September. 25 Beechwood and 34 Birch, still just basically maintaining those at this point. They're both working towards selling, to my understanding. So hopefully we'll see those move soon as well. Was recently in the District Justice Court for both 477 and 45 Lancaster Avenue. One is the burned out building next to Wawa, and the other is the White House on the corner of Lancaster and Prospect. Basically, the judge gave them 30 days to get the demolition done and get the exterior of the house on the corner cleaned up, repaired, and painted. So hopefully, we'll see that real soon.
And Ted, that's an order that's finally come into fruition, right? Behind the Wawa building?
Yes.
What was there, 3 previous attempts that were, we started in February to try to get resolved that were pushed off by the courts?
Yeah, I think I've been, or they were granted several continuances because of weather or because of financing and those kind of things, and we finally got back to the DJ about a week and a half ago. So he gave them 30 days to get it done, so let's hope that that's all wrapped up in the 30-day window. I think we're back in, the rescheduled hearing is for August 10th. So hopefully by then, everything will be done and cleaned up.
Okay, great, thanks.
19 Prospect, or I'm sorry, 14 Prospect rather. They have been repairing the framing and had cleaned up some of the lot. There still are 4 outstanding citations on that one, which are scheduled for Tuesday next week. And we're supposed to have a meeting out there, I believe, tomorrow to go over what framing and what cleanup remains to make sure that things get done appropriately. There's been, a few high grass notice of violations out there around the township, and most of them have cleaned up. I think there may be one remaining that really the 30 days doesn't end until 7/25, so another week or so, but we'll keep an eye on them to make sure they get done. 1322.
Somebody's forgetting to mow on Moore's Road, the front of St. Gobain's property, by the way.
Yeah, I've talked to the owner there, and then I did send a letter on that one, and I think they had cut it at one point in time. He responded to me in his email saying they had cut it, but I don't think it's getting cut regularly, so it's...
Yeah, the rest of the property's fine. It's just that front piece in front of the pine trees has grown considerably. Which is, yeah, definitely odd. Why you'd forget that, but...
I have a new notice of violation that went out for some basically vehicles that haven't been used in a couple of years and are sitting in front of a house out at 1322 West King Road, and as well as trash and junk around the site, and a junk car and high grass at 31 Prospect that appears to be maybe a bank-owned property at this point, a foreclosure. So they've all been notified at this point, and that's most of my list there. So.
Okay, good job. Thanks for keeping us. Sure, Kathleen, if you got to come up and speak into the mic so we can record you.
Okay with that. And I don't know what you can say about, I think you've mentioned 52 Village Way?
53. Yeah.
53 Village Way. And I didn't exactly hear what's happening with that property.
So it's now under agreement of sale, supposed to settle in September with a new owner. And supposedly they're going to be working between now and then, cleaning it out. And start rebuilding and fixing up.
Okay. And my other concern is I know on Fawnstock Road, and I don't know the address, it's 59.
59 did receive a letter on high grass.
Yeah, and they're bank-owned, or people who are turning it, and that's a great concern.
Yeah.
Because they're turning it. Same thing happened on the corner of Woodview and Fawnstock, Mrs. Appleknap's old house. For the longest time, it was all overgrown, but I think people are flipping but not attending. So I appreciate you calling them out on. I know a neighbor to 53 is trying to sell her house and can't sell it the way that 53 is. So I appreciate you calling them out on taking care of things.
Thank you.
Donna, any public comments coming in? Okay. Next, we're on to officially the public comment section for any item that we did not discuss during the meeting that anyone would like to bring up at this point in time? Come on.
In 61 Fallstack. I just want to mention, I know that you said there was going to be police bicycle out on the trail. Are they going to be on the trails?
They will be on the trails, but not like
All the time, right.
yeah, the county parks, actually, that's their primary jurisdiction. But we will be on the trails to the extent that it will get us a lot of places in the township very fast, east to
Okay.
west.
I'm just concerned because some of the bicycle riders are a little obnoxious. They just think they own the road and the trails. And they just dart out in front of cars. They just think that they have the right of way to go across the major streets. And they really don't. And you have cars slamming on their brakes, and I can't tell you how many accidents I've almost seen getting rear-ended because a car will just slam on the brake. So hopefully while they're out there, I just wanted to kind of bring it to your attention that somebody needs to kind of tame those guys down out there. So.
Yes. We do, as a matter of fact, there are violations in the vehicle code for bicyclists.
I'm sure, yes.
So obviously, we probably don't enforce them as often as we could, but we try
I mean,
to
the
try to
trail's
keep them
getting
under
more and more
control.
popular, which is wonderful, but, you know, they can't just knock everybody else off, so
I
that's all.
agree.
Jeanette, I'll give you an example. There was an incident not too long ago where there was someone almost rear-ended at the corner of where Target and Wegmans. I forget the road, but we addressed that, and I believe that there was a stop sign for the bikers, but they were going through that. And I believe that we were going to end up putting some additional apparatus. We're working with McMahon and Associates, I believe.
I think I talked to someone at the county, and I gave them the information, and they happened to be going into a meeting like that day. So they have like a tentative approval, not a full approval, to put the barriers. One barrier on each side, so it won't be two barriers. It'll be one barrier on each side.
Yep.
From what I understand. So I'm waiting to hear back, but it definitely is after you had those issues, we went up and everybody I sent up there was like, yeah, that's we need
Yeah.
to do something there.
So it's good to hear, you know, tell us.
Thank you.
Keep an eye on it. Thanks. Okay. Moving to our last item, the consent agenda. As usual, I will read all the items, and if anyone has a specific question about any of those, I'll pause and we can go into details on it, okay?
Absolutely.
9A, approve the meeting minutes from June 9 and June 21st. Ratify payment of bills in the amount of $1,116,150.94 for June of 2021. Accept the treasurer's report as of May 31st, 2021. 9D, extend a contract with Natural Lands to finalize the planning and assistance with construction management for the new Backton Hill Park project for the amount of $7,500 for site design and furniture and landscaping. Just to let everyone know, our grant-based contract had run out, which is the reason why we are extending the contract. 9E, waive the township fees for contractors on Backton Hill Park project. F, authorize the staff of McMahon Associates to submit transportation alternate set aside grant application for the Moores Road Sidewalk Connection Project for a total cost of $666,090, broken out by $445,090 in grant funding for construction and $215,000 in township costs for design and project development. Accept the proposal for $5,000 from McMahon and Associates for grant administration services for transportation alternative set-aside grant for the Moores Road Sidewalk Connection Project. Approve agreement with Energy Transfer regarding our crossing of their pipeline regarding the Backton Hill Park project. Approve the anti-bias training proposal from the Anti-Defamation League for the amount of $6,900 for 3 total sessions. Approve a resolution 28-2021, dedication of a sanitary sewer easement over, across, and through multiple parcels in East Whiteland Township. Consider request of 3-ton developers for extension until December 1, 2021 to complete repairs and improvements to 3-ton road and dedicate it to the township. Any questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any other concerns or any other business?
I would just ask Donna to give us a brief report on how the technology worked today. I want to thank her and the EVT for taking this inaugural launch into this new version.
Well, it looks like everything worked good. I think so anyway. I sit here with everything where I can see who's on in like the residence or who doesn't actually come. So I can see when people are raising their hands, I can see if they're on the screen. We can bring it up there if they want to talk, and we have them, like if somebody was making a presentation from the resident or from the Zoom, they could bring it up and it would show them on there in their presentation. So it looks like everything worked really well. The one thing I think we're going to have to fight with are the microphones, because in order to actually do this hybrid, we have to use these microphones, and if we don't use them correctly, the audience won't hear us. So that's the one thing I think that we're going to have to fight with. You know, maybe have to get more microphones.
I will let you know that I'm not sure the microphone is really close to you, that we hear you down here. It's the acoustics in the room that I can hear you, but I'm not sure through the system.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Usually the guys back there will send something up saying whether they can hear us or not. So they did a great job in setting everything up, and I thank them for helping me out too.
The closer it is to your mouth, the better I can hear.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I would like to thank Donna for all of this, because over the past year, she has done an awful lot to make sure that we're in communication and that we can find out what's going on, and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Nobody heard that though. Oh, it looks like we do have one question or comment. It looks like it's Barbara Ann. If you could unmute yourself, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara Anthav. I just, Donna, I did barely hear those congrats for you. So I just wanted to say from a participant who will be planning to participate remotely for the foreseeable future, It is really important for the audience members to know that you cannot hear them when they talk from the back of the room or while they're walking up to the microphone or when they turn their back from the microphone. So it's important for you to wait till you get to the microphone so that your comments and questions are recorded and so the rest of us can hear. And Rich, the microphone always needs to be closer to you. You are sometimes very hard to hear, even with the volume turned up. So just FYI on that. I also wanted to suggest a couple of things that I thought of during the meeting, which is regarding the no trespassing sign and the security issues at Bishop Tube. Is there signage there, or could there be signage there that indicates that it is a toxic site? I think that would be something to consider. And I was thinking about the pavers at the Route 29, Route 30 piece, and I would think that pavers would get destroyed by the snow plows, much like the cement gets destroyed. So think about that. And then finally, I wanted to ask to make sure that as the township is doing a tremendous job looking at zoning and all sorts of ordinances, that they also keep in mind really closely looking at building code and doing safety checks. I unfortunately lost a very close coworker that I worked with in South Florida in the Surfside building collapse recently. And given that we have more multi-story buildings cropping up, we have sinkholes in the neighborhood, in the township, et cetera, older buildings. I think it would be really important to make sure that we are looking closely at those things and doing the proper inspections to make sure that something like that never happens here. Granted, we're in a different climate, but we do have salt and snow being put on, parking decks, things like that. And I just would like to suggest that you keep that in mind as you're going through and doing all this other great work. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Barbara Ann. Okay, at this point in time, I haven't done this in a while. Meeting is adjourned.